Hey guys, this is just Pepper Madness here. I got a VR for Irish on EMP shielding, protecting your components and stuff. I'll tell you a little bit about myself first. I'm a power lineman by trade. I've been for about 20 years. I have done some live line helicopter work on live high voltage lines up to 750 kilovolts. I understand the Faraday concept, bird on a wire concept very well. My life depended upon it. All right, so that out of the way, I'm also gonna tell you that there is nobody out there who is a definitive expert on anything to do with electricity. If you look, if you're educating yourself on electricity, you will notice that it is called electrical theory. Okay. The things we do have been tested in a lab and then field tested. I've been a part of some of that on occasion. All right, so let's get home with some of this. All right, so what I have is I drew a picture of a few things, and I discussed this with an engineer friend, electrical engineer friend of mine, who just loves this EMP stuff. You give him a problem, and it's like, oh yeah, right now, oh yeah, I'm on this, right? He loves this stuff. So I don't know if you can read or see this all very well or not. Maybe I should have got a blackboard. Okay. Anyways, what it's all about is I drew a picture. Okay. So in this picture, I have your main container. All right, and then I have a smaller insulated container inside. Outside of the main container, okay, is crushed gravel. Okay, whatever size you want to use, 3/4 inch, 1/2 inch, washed. Okay, no soil in it. There's a reason for this, which I'll explain later. Okay, it has nothing to do with conductivity or anything like that. Actually, I'll just explain it now. What it has to do is with taking a really hard hit. Okay, after all the smaller outside parts of the shielding, I should say it's more like screening. I'll get into that. Rambling here. It's the first time I've done a VR. So you've got this gravel. Okay, it's about a foot thick, all around and on top and below your canister, whatever it is you're going to be using, and I'll get into my recommendation on that in just a bit. And then you're going to put up some sort of barrier, whether it's cardboard, plastic. It doesn't really matter as long as the barrier protects it from getting contaminated with dirt, with native soil or sand, whatever the case may be. All right. Now, on the outside of that barrier, you still got a hole. You've still got quite a large hole, depending on the size of your canister. What you're going to do then is take some chicken or stucco wire, you know, the 2-inch squares, that kind of wire, and wrap it around. Okay, it depends on how many layers you want. This is going to create a screen door effect, where while it's not going to take the whole hit of the induced electrical charge caused by an EMP, it's not going to take the whole hit, but it's going to dissipate it slowly. Now you might want to go with about 3 layers. I would put them about this far apart, okay, and you bury them in the native soil. Also, what he came up with was the idea of it's similar to what fighter aircraft and things like Air Force stuff. It's similar to their chaff that they use. Okay, so you're going to want to rip up a bit of tin foil, maybe nails, old welding rods, stuff like that, and mix it with the soil that you're backfilling with around your chicken wire. Mix it in a wheelbarrow, and then dump it in. Okay, and just keep doing that all the way up to the top, and by the time you're done, it'll be mounded. All right. that's the simple part of it. Now, we were getting into the capacitive charge that the outside of your container may have. So what I did is I drew a picture right here. Again, I don't know how well you guys can see that. All it is a grid grounding mat. Okay, everyone's got the idea. You just see it's a simple 2 foot by 3 foot steel rectangle with with 6-inch grids on the inside. Now, for the frame, what I would recommend using is 1/8-inch steel angle iron. Okay, makes it easier to weld your grid in. And whatever size of round galvanized rod you want to use, you could even use that hog wire stuff, as long as you got 6-inch grids in it, and they should all be the same. Okay, in the middle of all that, you're going to weld a little piece, say 4 inches, a little piece of say 1/8 or 1/16 inch, and drill a hole in it and use that as your grounding tab. All right, it's then from that point you are going to connect it back, back to a ground rod. Okay, connect it to the ground rod. All right, where is the rest of that drawing? I gotta get a blackboard. Okay, so that would be, I don't know if you guys can see this properly. That would be, whoops, switch sides. This part of the picture here, okay? Now you can see that that ground rod has 2 connections coming from it. Okay, so now you're going to take your conductor, your wire, going this way here, and connect it to something like, say, an aluminum rod, or steel works fine. Okay, steel works just fine. You might want to insulate a little bit of a handle on that with rubber or something like that. Okay, this rod, which is connected to the side of your container, to a welded connection, goes straight up and out of the ground. So you stand on top of your equal potential mat. Okay, that's the steel grid that I just showed you. Both feet, okay, don't touch the rod yet. Pick up the rod and touch the probe that is coming out of the ground. That will dissipate any leftover charge. Okay? All right. So basically that's a bird on a wire concept. All right. So you're not part of the you're not grounding yourself out. All right. Of course the main container. You know what? I'm just going to do an explanation here. I'm not going to show the picture anymore, and then I'll do some bigger, better pictures and show you guys and show you guys a little later on tonight. Your container. When I talked with my engineering buddy, and he agreed with me, should be of a thick enough type of steel, like say a culvert, especially galvanized culvert. Perfect. Won't rot on you, right? So that you can weld to it to make a positive electrical connection, not a mechanical connection, but an electrical connection. All right. From there, you're going to have 2 tabs. All right. This is the minimum. You can go with 4 tabs. You're going to have 2 tabs. Okay, one opposite each other. You're then going to connect your copper with clamps. Go out opposite each other, a minimum of 3 feet away from your can on either side, and have your steel ground rods or copper clad ground rods put in the ground. Okay, the minimum that I would use for this for this conductor to your rod connections is number 2 American wire gauge stranded copper. Okay. All right. That'll take a pretty darn good hit. Now, getting back to the reasons why I said to use gravel around your container. It's for a number of things. For one thing, it's for water drainage away from your container. And another thing is the explosive effect that a short, which is what you're creating here, because you're putting everything to ground, the explosive effect that a short can have on an object. It'll want to lift. Okay, so you want a little bit of resistance there with the crushed rock, but you want to let it be able to absorb the shock so you don't utterly destroy your canister. All right, we've seen this in a few older substations up in northern Alberta where it'll get flooded and the sub will short out, the substation will short out, and next thing you know, the whole ground grid is sitting up on top. You know, I mean, that stuff's buried like 3 feet, 2 to 3 feet in the ground. It just goes whoop, it's up. Nothing you can do about it. But by using gravel, it absorbs the shock and helps a lot with that kind of thing. You know what? Yeah, I'll go through the list. I'll go through the list of stuff. That that my engineer friend and myself recommend. Okay, now again, nobody is a definitive expert on, at least not that I've found. I haven't found anything anywhere, and I've been looking a long time. Excuse me. Nobody is a definitive expert on EMP or electrical theory. All right? We still don't know really what electricity is. Okay, or exactly how it works. There's positive, negative flow, conventional conventional theory, all that. Okay? So, remember, you're dealing with an induced charge. Okay? So, this is how we're recommending it. Okay? So, you want a galvanized container, thick enough to weld ground tabs, to weld your ground tabs to for a positive electrical connection. Very important. Okay? And you want to be able to weld a bottom and a lid. Okay, we won't get into all the safety stuff about welding galvanized. Okay, I don't need to hear it. I already know. All right? Deal with it yourselves. This is just what I'm saying. Okay? You're going to need a minimum of 3 4-foot steel or copper-clad ground rods. Okay? I believe they're about $11 each. Okay, for the steel. All right? You're going to need stainless or brass clamps because they'll take the heat better and they won't corrode. Okay? For your wire connections to your tabs and to your ground rods. All right? And you're going to need whatever amount you decide on using of a minimum of number 2 American wire gauge stranded copper, uncoated too. Okay, uncoated. That's important because it travels as because it'll have its own grounding capability as it travels through the native soil. All right. I hope I'm being kind of clear on this. You're going to need your washed rock, however much volume that is. It depends on the size of your container. A chicken or stucco wire. Okay. Scrap metal pieces. Hey, the more the merrier. Okay. Enough metal to weld together a 2 foot by 3 foot equal potential grid mat for yourself. All right. Enough uncoated number 2 AWG. Okay, yeah, I already said that. insulating lining spray on the inside would be the on the inside of your container would be the best. Now I'm going to get into the container thing itself, because you don't want any gaps. You don't want any gaps in your insulation, which will cause stress on that insulation, and once you cause stress on the insulation, it'll pop. Okay. Again, I don't know what the voltage or the currents we're going to be dealing with here. Nobody can give me an answer. So yeah, I'm overbuilding a little bit, but I mean, like, I don't know. Am I overbuilding, underbuilding? Who knows, right? And a separate insulated container for your batteries. All right, take them all out of your electronic components and store them separately, just in case there's leakage somewhere. And as for your lid, I would use a piece of say inch and a half wide by 1/16 of an inch thick flat bar to weld around for your lid, and then make 3 small connections from that to the outside, or pardon me, 4 small connections from that to the outside of your canister. Okay, so it creates an equal potential zone. Okay, so then there's no differences in potential between the air gap in the lid and the side of your and the outside, pardon me, of your container. All right, I hope I'm being clear on this. You don't want air gap in anything electrical. No air gap. Okay. All right, and if you don't know what difference in potential is, there's lots of explanations on YouTube. I could just go on for hours about that. Anyhow, storing those. Yeah, you'll need your cardboard, wood, tin, plastic sheeting, whatever, to as a barrier for your gravel. Okay, I know I'm repeating myself. Okay, I'm just trying to make things clear. Okay, repetition, repetition, repetition. All right. Whether it's conductive or whether that barrier is conductive or not, it doesn't really matter. Okay, it just doesn't matter. All right, I've done that. Now, EQ bonding, equal potential bonding. Okay, I'm using a little bit of some slang terms in the trade. Equal potential bonding is basically making yourself a bird on a wire. Okay, everyone sees them. Birds are sitting on the power line conductor all the time. The moment a wing touches a cross arm or the bottom of an insulator or a pin or a transformer, bang, they disappear. Okay, so they're putting themselves to ground. All right, that's what you want to avoid your body doing. Okay, when you're bleeding your capacitive charge, that's why you want to build that little pad. Okay, and remember, from the pad is connected to at least one ground rod, guys. At least. We usually go off all 4 corners about 3 feet out and connect them in each separately. Okay, and then one wound through the middle where that little tab is that I told you about. That's what we usually do. Okay, I don't know how. You know, I just didn't want to get too technical. Okay. Maybe weld a little short piece of pipe on one corner of it, so you can put your probe, your probe rod in that. Okay. So the first thing you do, you're going to approach the pad, and you're going to get on it with both feet. So at the same time, so which means you're going to hop onto it. Okay. Because I can't tell you if there's too many variables and too many mysteries here. I can't tell you if that pad is going to be energized. I don't know. Okay, it shouldn't be because it's going to ground, but it might cause a circulating current, and so many things. Ground gradients and all this, but anyhow, you get up on the pad, you jump up on the pad, you take the rod, touch it to the probe that is coming out of the ground, which is welded to the side of your container. Hold it there and let it arc. Okay. Another way of doing this too is to use jumper cables to go from your pad to the ground probe sticking out. In order to do that, though, you'd have to be wearing, I would say you should be wearing class 5 rubber gloves. Probably none of you can afford them. They're about $400 to $600 each, and they have to be retested every 4 months, which is another $200 for retesting. So on and on and on and on. Okay. So I'm just giving you my opinion as a lineman. Okay. Whether I'm right, whether I'm right, wrong, whatever, this just seems to be the most logical way for me. Okay, so let's just go through one more time real quick. Okay, so in your native soil, you've got your bits and pieces of scrap metal and tin foil and blah 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 all scattered throughout, and you've got your 2 layers of chicken wire separated by 4 inches in native soil. Okay, and they're not connected to anything. They don't have to be, because they're already going to ground because they're touched by the native soil. Okay, that creates a screen door effect. Okay, creates a screen door effect. Bang! You've got your gravel. Okay, you got your container. I'm just going to say it's a culvert. Okay, whatever size you want, it's a culvert. On the inside of that culvert, you got some sort of spray-on insulation. I'm recommending that. Remember, we talked about weakening, with air gap and all that sort of stuff, or moisture in between your rubber matting and the outside. Okay, I'm not trying to get too technical. I would spray it on. End of story. That's all I'm going to say. I would spray it on. Okay, and then on the inside of that, in the middle, you've got your insulated container for your batteries. Okay, just as an extra precaution. All right. So you got your probe coming out of the top that's welded onto the side of your container. It pokes up through the dirt. The connection is kept clean as possible up top. Don't touch it. If an EMP or a CME occurs, don't touch it to clean it or anything. You've got your equal potential mat and your probe. You jump onto your mat, touch your probe, touch your hand probe to the probe sticking out of the ground, and if you can keep it connected somehow or other, like with jumper cables or something like that, that is best. Stay on the mat until the buzzing stops. Don't get off the mat. All right? Stay there. All right. That's just my take on it, boys. You guys all take care. If you want to see me do a video with nice big drawings and all that sort of stuff, just put her in the comments below. Okay. Thanks, guys. Take care, Irish.